Week 12 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, and 3 out of the 6 playoff spots are completely up for grabs. This is the weekly update. Alright, there's 1 week left in the 2014 regular season, and 8 out of the 10 teams in our league are still alive for a playoff spot. In fact, only 3 teams have actually clinched playoff spots, and only 2 of those teams are locked in place. And oh, by the way, we still have no idea who's winning the Porter division. First things first, let's get to this week's hero. In a must-win situation, absolutely had to win to stay alive, the Gotham Rogues came through and did what needed to be done. They beat the open slot 127.4 to 117.3 and are now right in the mix with the playoffs just 1 week away. Justin Forsett had 33 points and Aaron Rodgers had a moderate 23.8 to lead the Gotham Rogues to this 10.1 point victory, the closest of the week. With this win, in a must situation, Narkowitz pulls himself just about even with the open slot. Only 3.5 points separate these guys in the standings right now. He would win a tiebreaker with Le'Veon's Blunts outright, and his win, moving his record to 5-7, makes the playoff picture all the more interesting with just 1 left to play. In a must-win situation, in pretty much a playoff game, Narkowitz came through with the win against the team that was directly ahead of them in the playoff standings, and for that, the Gotham Rogues are this week's hero. So now we move on to the flip side. Team Blumpkin lost to the team that was directly behind them in the standings in a game where they could have clinched the Porter division. So the Blumpkin came into this game controlling his own destiny, needing only to win, and he was, sitting pretty for the playoffs. And instead, he got whooped up on pretty bad. He got the worst beating of the week, 66.8 points. Tyler Fight Club beat him 167.7 to 100.9. The 100.9 points was the lowest team score of the week. Russell Wilson put up a 21.7 and Alfred Morris poured in 20 points, but that was pretty much it. There were 3 players in single digits for Team Blumpkin and 1-0. Team Blumpkin had a chance to take control of the Porter division, take control of their playoff destiny, but instead they fumbled it away, putting up a pretty lackluster effort. And for that, Team Blumpkin is this week's GOAT. Alright guys, let's get to some scenarios before we do the key matchups. Okay, scenario number 1. The number 1 overall seed in the playoffs is Rusty Strombone. And the number 3 seed in the playoffs is Shower Hug. These 2 teams play each other in week 13, but no matter what happens in that game, Rusty Strombone is the 1 seed and Shower Hug is the 3 seed. The open slot at 5-7 must win to stay alive, plus they need help. They need some of the 6-win teams to lose in order to make it into the playoffs. Speaking of 6-win teams, if you have 6 wins and you win in week 13, you are in the playoffs, meaning that if you have 6 wins, you control your own destiny. Tyler Fight Club, the Moth, and Le'Veon's Blunts need only to win their games, and they are in the playoffs. And that brings us to key matchups. Now, the first key matchup we have this week is 7-5 Team Blumpkin taking on 6-6 Le'Veon's Blunts. Okay, here's the situation. If Team Blumpkin wins this game, they clinch the Porter division. It doesn't matter what else happens. They control their own destiny. If they win, they have the number 2 seed and a first round bye in the playoffs. Now, of course, Le'Veon's Blunts is hoping that that's not even a factor, because if they lose this game, they will be in serious danger of missing the playoffs. But as I said, with a win, they're automatically in. Now, let's say Team Blumpkin loses. Tyler Fight Club and the Moth could very easily jump up right past him with a win. And if both the Toddler Fight Club and the Moth were to win and be tied, right now, those teams are only separated by 8 points in the standings. So you can see how everything is so just jumbled up. So Team Lumpkin at 7-5 is searching for the second Porter Division championship in franchise history as they take on 6-6 Le'Veon's Blunt's team, who's just trying to keep it together to get across the goddamn finish line. The other matchup we're going to be looking hard at is the 5-7 Gotham Rogues taking on the Moth at 6-6. Now the Rogues find themselves in a very familiar situation. In the first season, they were the team closest to the playoffs without actually making the playoffs, and last year they made it as the 6th seed, but it was not without a little bit of late season drama. Both times, as a matter of fact. So here we are again, week 13. The Gotham Rogues must win to keep their playoff hopes alive. But the bad news is that even if they do win, they're going to need help to make it into the playoffs. But before they even get to that, they're going to need all the help they can get beating the Moth. Now, the Moth is on a little bit of a winning streak. They're a strong team who got off to a slow start this season, but they're hitting their stride at the right time. So it should be interesting in this matchup to see which force is greater. So that's it, guys. Week 12 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember that there's only 1 week left in the regular season before the playoffs start. And I will see you next week, where it's always sunny. Unless you don't make the playoffs.